Hey, hi everyone.
Hi.
Um, Thank you for taking the time to join this presentation of ours. This little moment where we're gonna share our findings and our experience on remote working. Let us introduce ourselves. I am Gian. I'm the founder and CEO of Uniwhere and Revelop. I'm going to take a moment later on to explain, to talk more about that. I blog at johnsegato.com, where I basically tell my journey building ventures. And Marco?
Hi, everyone. I'm Marco, and I work at Uniwhere as tech lead. And I have also a blog where I tell my experience about programming and stuff like that. I also have a GitHub profile because, I'm a dev. And back to John.
Okay, so I have a quick presentation to share. We have a quick presentation to share, but it's mostly going to be about, let's say, what our remote experience has been all about all this time. So basically, we have been working remotely for quite a long time at this point. We currently, our team at Uniware is spread out in 4 different time zones between Europe and the US. Uniware is a college management app, but lately we are working on a new product, still with the same team and the same setup, everything remote, that is called Revelop. It's an email client for performers and learners, anyone who is using the email to consume a lot of content, basically to learn and continue learning. By the way, we're looking for testers and let's say anyone who can contribute with their feedback. So if you're interested, shoot an email at john@revelop.app. But that said, bottom line is that we have been doing this for a long time, way before the pandemic. And we can share some ideas on what remote working is and what you can take out of it. Because basically, when it comes to remote working, you have basically, oh yeah, first let me share what this is for us. So this is Marco's office. Marco, you can tell basically what this is about, but I can tell you guys that this is basically bragging.
No, it's not. I have a simple white monitor to have all my stuff at one site. I recently switched to a wide monitor from two screen setup, and this is wow. I have to. I should have it before because it changed the way you work. And basically, that's it. I have a computer, a webcam, and a microphone.
And a professional microphone because there's a lot of calls going on when you're working remotely. While for me, to be honest, I'm not sure we can call this an office per se, but at the same time, really, when you're living in a big city, many of you know that there's not exactly the real estate that Marco has in Venice. But that said, moving on, remote working is here, and it's definitely here to stay. That was something I wanted to share before. Why is this happening? Of course, there's the pandemic, but the pandemic was just a kickoff. Basically, it kickstarted something that was simmering and boiling way before that. And you can see companies that are making remote working permanent, like Microsoft. Facebook is thinking about it. There are many other companies that are not, let's say, renewing their leasing contracts, mostly in the Valley. Like this graph is mind blowing to me. Like the very fabric of the real estate market is changing. So remote working is not something that is just happening now due to the coronavirus, but it's definitely here to stay. And you have two camps. Basically, you have people that are saying that they really miss their coworkers, and there are those who will never go back because of many reasons. So it's in the end, there's no ground truth to that. It's very personal. You either have people that are in one side on or on the other, but mostly it's really personal. So you cannot really judge remote working from this specific standpoint. However, there's a but, and the but is that some characteristics of remote working are objective and are very powerful. And as an organization or as an individual, you can leverage them. You can basically get something out of them, irrespective of the fact that you miss a lot of your coworkers or you believe you will never go back to working in an office anywhere anytime soon. Because ultimately, this is about the J curve, the so-called J curve. Sometimes you have some investments that take time to show their potential and their returns. So remote working is like this. It takes a lot of time and investment before actually going to the tipping point and then starting seeing the positive returns of going through this change. Remote working is no different. And basically, the investment phase was the pandemic that forced all of us to go through this investment period, and then we are now seeing the positive results. We are starting seeing these results. Now, for us, this was 3 years ago. For most other companies, it's happening now, but the bottom line is this one. We can get something out of it. Now, enough theory, enough talking. We can now get to some, you know, to the meat of the lunch. Truth number one: synchronized working harms productivity. Now, by synchronized working, I mean people that are working close to you, physically speaking, and at some point interrupts you. Like the whole group of colleagues are going for a break, a lunch break, coffee break, whatever, and they tap on your shoulder. Now, you can have whatever amount of headphones on you, it will still happen. So, interrupt working is very detrimental to your focus and productivity. And asynchronized working is a powerful level because you cannot mute your colleagues, but you can mute your smartphone or your Slack or whatever means of communication you have. The second truth to remote working is that control is an illusion. So you cannot really think that if you have everyone in the same room, you can control them. You can see them working. This is not happening. If a developer wants to not work, you can be in the same room and they will trick you anyway. So with true talent, it's also counterproductive, honestly, to control them. There are other ways to assess the productivity of an employee, and that is not staying in the same room in a synchronized fashion. Third, hiring is easier if you are working remotely because guess what? You can hire whomever you want from whatever part of the world you're comfortable with. And by comfortable, I mean depending on the time zone. So sometimes, for us in Europe, that would be difficult to hire in Australia. Not impossible, but difficult. But probably for an Australia-based company, it would be amazing to hire people in the whole APAC region. So hiring is easier because the pool of talent is wider, basically. And finally, people want it. Developers and tech people in particular, but also many other adjacent employees like designers and other functions really start demanding remote working. If not complete remote working, at least partial, like 4 days out of 5 or 6 a week. So now it's the question. This begs the question: why do people want to work remotely? And for this, we have Marco, who can share like the other part of the point of view. Basically, the part about the employee and not the organization. So please, Marco, shed some light on why you want to work remotely and not see me in person, which I'm very curious to hear.
All right. So the first thing that is important and you can achieve with remote working is working from all over the world. So in this way, you can choose the country on which to live, on where to live. And also with this, you can unlock many different opportunities that are not tied in your country. So you can work from whatever company there is in the world. And on the other side, if you are more a contractor, a freelancer, you can choose the specific country on where to live and then work for another country, for example. And um, another interesting things about working remotely is the fact that you can work when you are mostly productive. And by this, I mean that, for example, if your brain doesn't connect between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m., for example, you can switch and move and slide your work time starting from late in the morning. Or on the other side, if you are more a morning person, you can start working, for example, by 6 o'clock in the morning and then move everything right in the morning. But there are also some caveats to this expression, because you cannot work all night long while your team is working all day long, because you are a team, you have to work in a team, and so you have to be connected with your team. So you can work when you are productive, but relative to the time zone and the work time of your colleagues. But with this kind of thing, you can adjust your schedule based on your needs. So, for example, if in the morning you have to do some errands, you have an appointment with a doctor, whatever, you can arrange your schedule, move your work time without asking for permission for formal things and stuff like that. You simply take some time off, of course, by telling your colleagues that you are doing it, and you can do it. At the same time, thanks for this thing, you can also have more family time, because, for example, you can walk your child to school, and you can do it because you don't have to prepare to and move by car to the office. So this stack of time, you can use this stack of time for doing something else, and this something else is stay more, for example, with your family. That it is always a good thing. And all right, I'm sold. These things are very, very good for me. I wanna be remote forever, but I have some troubles. So I don't know, and I need some help to stay productive alone in my house. So don't worry. I'm here to share some tips and tricks about self-productivity, and these are tips and tricks that helped me during this time working remotely. So first of all, like Gian said a bit ago, you have always to prefer async communication, because with async communication, you are not going to interrupt the flow or the workflow of your colleague. So maybe your colleague is in the middle of a deploy, or in the middle of designing something very difficult. And if you call your colleague directly, you're gonna blow up his or her flow. And this is very bad, because you are breaking your colleague productivity. So always send a message or stuff like that. So in this way, your colleague can respond when its chunk of work is ended. And if you have the necessity to talk to him, because there is the necessity time to time, always schedule a meeting, so the guys knows when to stop its work. And about meetings, always avoid infinite meetings without taking some action. sometimes long meetings are necessary, but try always to finish the meeting with a specific action, so everyone knows that they have to do something, and in this way your meeting will not be useless. Okay. Another thing that it's interesting for feeling all in the same page with your team is doing a quick daily sync between your team, and this sync is needed um, to share what you are working on, and also can be done either by voice or by message. Um, the important thing is that it has to be quick. It is not a planning meeting, but it's only a quick sync. So for us, really helped to be in the same page. Another important thing is documentation, and it is documentation. It is always a topic, an interesting topic, let's say. But with remote, we have always to document everything. And because by going remote, you cannot knock, for example, at the shoulder of your colleagues. So you have to have a place with all the information that you need. Also because maybe you cannot write to your colleague because maybe it is sleeping when you are working because you are in different time zones. And for documentation, there are plenty of different solutions. You can use whatever you want. We are using Notion, and we are pretty happy with it. And so we have in Notion different pages, different places with all the different parts of our company that are documented. And if you don't know Notion, I really suggest you to give a look because it is a really powerful tool. All right. Another interesting thing and important thing for your team is to plan some pre-programming situation, because pre-programming it's a really useful things to do with your team, and to do remotely it is more difficult than in person, of course, but there are plenty of tools to help with that. You can use, for example, the classic share screen with Zoom, Meet, whatever tool you are using. Or you can use it also some feature of your IDE. For example, with JetBrains IDEs, you can use Code with Me, or with Visual Studio Code, you can use an extension that let you share the current workspace. We have always used the classic share screen to do it, and we were pretty happy with it. But maybe in the future we will try this ID integrated solution, because I'm really curious to try it. And finally, we cannot miss some blaming time to different technologies. So, for example, it is very important for your team to blame Xcode, to blame JavaScript, and to blame whatever technology you hate. Joking aside, it's an action that motivates and I dare you more of the team. And by sharing memes and stuff like that about programming, it is always fun to give a laugh to it. All right. Besides, it's okay to be productive in your work, but you need also to be mental and physically healthy. And since you are remote, it is more difficult to cheat, let's say, because you are in the same place usually you are in the same place where you live. So now I want to share some tips and tricks that help me stay healthy during my remote life. So first of all, the pajama is not allowed to work, and that's because pajama is a clothes that you are using in your relaxing and sleeping time. And in order to let your brain know that you are switching from a context to another, you have to do some action. And changing clothes is the action that you can use to trick your brain. So for the brain, okay, you are not wearing the same clothes that you are wearing from sleeping, so you are switching activity. And this kind of trick seems stupid, but really helps. And attached to that is that your bed is not your office, so you don't you must not use the bed for work all day long, because first of all your neck will hurt you, and at the same place you will not be so productive, because for your brain the bed is the place where you chill, where you relax, stuff like that. So you need to give the brain that switch. And I'm not saying that you don't have you don't have to work every time in the bed. I've done some of these lives in the bed, but you have not to spend your entire day in the bed. And so for this, I suggest you to find a work spot in your house. So a separate place where you go only to work, because in this way you again you are tricking your brain and you're saying, okay, now I'm in this spot of my house, so now I'm only working. Um, Another thing, and in this spot, always sit down in a proper way. Again, if you're not sitting down right, your neck, your back will really hurt. So try to be sit down properly. And another thing, try to get up time to time to a walk, to a stretch, um, and stuff like that. A trick that I use to force me to get up is to not have the bottle of water on my desk, and because in this way I when I'm thirsty I have to wake up and go to the kitchen and drink a glass of water. So in this way, I'm not I forced to have a little walk, yes, but it's better than nothing. Next, we need also to take care of our eyes, and we can't stare at our screen for an infinite amount of time. We need to also relax our eyes. And a rule that I like to follow is the 20-20 rule, that is that after 20 minutes of staring at a screen, you have to look something for 20 seconds, that is 20 feet away. And so like 6 meters away. Of course, if you don't have stuff at 6 meters away, you can look at whatever things in your room. The important thing is that you have not to stare at your monitor. All right, and a final trick is this. And if you are stuck and your creativity is stopped, changing context for a bit, it can help. So I know that I say to you that you have to find a work spot in your house, but for example, if you are stuck in the design, for example, of an algorithm or stuff like that, it is helpful, and it was helpful for me to bring the paper, the iPad, your PC, whatever, and go in another spot outside, stuff like that, and start thinking. And this, I can assure you that this helps your brain, and newer ideas are coming up. And that's all for me. Now I give the word back to Gian that will share some tips and tricks about company's organization.
Yeah, thanks, Marco. Also, because we talked at length about how to better implement a remote first company and a remote first culture in the company from the point of view of the employee, with tips and tricks regarding productivity and health. But it might be worth also exploring a little bit the point of view of the organization. So if there are some managers, founders, and CEOs listening to us now, it can be, let's say, uh, it can be of value to listen to this part. So the first thing I'm going to share is the fact that if you want to um, better implement a remote first culture in your company, you need to adopt a bottom up style of management. Basically, you can have either a top down or a bottom up style of management in your company. With bottom up, I specifically am referring to a style of leading the company that empowers the people, that empowers the employees and the team. This translates in a set of different best practices. One has already been mentioned by Marco before, the daily stand up. Um, Others are weekly backlog call, bi weekly all hands OKRs. So they are all geared towards the idea of sharing with your team a same common goal or set of goals and sharing a methodology to get there with the same pace, with the same speed. So daily stand up, as Mark already said, are mostly about um, being sure that every day you are on the same page. This should be done by with a call in a synchronized fashion. If you are wildly in a wildly different time zones, it can be in a different moment than the morning. So for us, working with the states, so working with people that are a few hours back, uh, that was that means synchronizing in the late part of the afternoon, Berlin time, and basically in the morning for the US. If you are living in Asia and you're living and you're working with Europe, that is basically the same translated. If you are living in Asia and you're working with US, same thing, but opposite direction. Bottom line is that you should find those 5-10 minutes to basically sync and figure out in a synchronized fashion what to work on. Weekly backlog call is again mostly about being sure that everyone is on the same page. Because if you're not living in the same office, you cannot really rely on constantly um, directing people towards the goals of the company and the true priorities. So that is basically every week what we did last week, what we're going to do next week. Bi-weekly whole ends are more about uh, asking about strategy, the strategic underpinning of the company. So employees should be able to uh, inquire and ask about what the company is doing and where it is going. And this can be, let's say, the scope of this call should be beyond their own simply, let's say, their very own specific set of tasks. So if a developer wants to ask anything about, for instance, marketing, that is definitely something they can do. And the other way around, if the developer, if the marketing team wants to understand why the developer team is taking so long to, I don't know, fix whatever bug, that is definitely something that can be asked. Also, because usually these two camps are not exactly um, understanding the different needs of each other, because working with bugs is very different than working with people ultimately. So all ends are very useful also to have a cohesive workspace, even though there's no physical workspace. And finally, OKRs are, I don't know if you are familiar with that, but that is basically a way of quantifying goals, basically, and progress towards goals. It's a popular tool, first invented in the, I believe it was the 80s at IBM, popularized by Google. And again, it's mostly about making sure that everyone is on the same page and is working towards the same direction. Because when you're working when you're working in the same place, physically speaking, you have access to serendipity. So you sometimes talk about stuff that is unrelated to your daily work, but that kind of conversation triggers some ideas, some thoughts that can then trigger some uh, serendipity as a whole. You don't have that when you're working remotely. So you need to have a way to still trigger ideas in people, even though you're not working together. And by together, I mean basically management and the employees, basically. So OKRs ensure that everybody understands the direction and the priorities and the progress, and you can basically rely on people ideas and smartness to think of ways to reach those goals, even beyond what management is thinking. Um, Frictionless community time is another big one. I have many founders, friends of mine, that report this very same thing. You all of you have heard during this last period of this incredible period of our lives, that most companies set up like uh, Zoom Spritz time or Zoom community time, and requiring employees to join. Problem is that nobody it's not that everyone likes it. So you have to embrace the fact that that's okay, that you have people that are okay with joining this community time, and there are people that at the end of the day, they don't really want to stare at other people drinking at their screen. Like, I found this very fitting tweet by Dick Costello, the former CEO of Twitter, that is that has, let's say, a very dire view of Zoom happy hours, but you can see the point. Um, have community time, but do not strictly enforce it, because sometimes that's basically not exactly that is basically counterproductive. Third tip: trust your people. This is like a follow-up point of something I was mentioning before about control being an illusion. You should embrace lack of control. You should trust your team, because at the end of the day, if you're working towards the same direction and if you make clear why you are working towards that direction, ultimately you will get rewarded. Now, maybe it's worth pausing and mentioning a couple of things regarding specifically hiring, because this is very, let's say, tough topic to unravel. So, the first thing to keep in mind is that in order to hire remotely, you need to be extremely um, let's say, not caution, but you should be very much in control of the legal infrastructure. Because at the end of the day, if I have a legal entity based in the US, for instance, and we have an ink company in Delaware, and then we want to hire someone in Berlin or in India, for instance, I cannot do that directly. I cannot employ someone with my Delaware company, uh, someone that is living in Berlin, in Europe, for instance. There are three ways to work with people in different countries, and that is basically subsidiaries, freelancing, and intermediaries. All of this, I mean, it would be great if we could hire anyone in the world, but we cannot do that because we are living in a globalized world with the legal infrastructure of the 19th century. So we need to deal with that. If you want to hire someone in India, for instance, you need um, either to have a subsidiary in India, like whatever company Ltd, or you need to hire them as freelancers. So they are not really hired, they are working as freelancers. Or you can rely on intermediaries. So there are specialized companies that are basically getting paid in order to be those subsidiaries. So again, let's say that you are based in Delaware and you want to hire someone from India, you can rely on remote companies that are supporting the India geography and hire someone from there through them. They cost a lot, but their costs are also the cost is also falling because the competition is rising, fortunately. Um, and this is basically how you hire remotely. But this is more like what it happens when you find someone to hire. But in order to find them, you need to structure the company culture first, because when you're hiring, you are and you are hiring in a non-remote fashion, you are inviting people to your office, and they get who you are from, basically they can see who you are physically speaking. Now if you're hiring remotely, you don't have that. In order to have that, you need a company culture. This ultimately means company vision, mission, and values mostly, and you need to hardly define them: who you are, what you strive for, and how you work. Just to give an example, to share our own values so that you can understand who we are and how we work. um, our values are six: dare more. We want people to dare. We want people to be fast and move fast. We want people to keep pushing, to be human, to seek beauty, because the aesthetic component is a big one for us, and to stay curious. So this lifelong learning component is very important for us. And you can see how working for us can impact you. You can share these values. You cannot share. You can definitely not share them. If you not share them, that's okay. We will not work together very well. And that's a powerful mechanism to hire remotely. Finally, to wrap things up, all this talk has been about one thing. Um, that is, if you want to work remotely, please keep in mind that you are as strong as the weakest point in your process. So invest in the process, because that's the only way you can be successful in working remotely. So that's it on our side. You can find us on our personal website, where we have our own newsletters. I invite you um, to subscribe to that. And if you have any questions, please type them in the slide if we have time. Otherwise, we will be on the platform of the conference to answer to any of your questions.
Or you can reach us on Twitter as well.
Yep, absolutely. I don't think that's relevant.
Can we download the Firebase tabular data? Well,
I mean, I think you can. No, I don't think you can. No, I think it's just a flat JSON. In the meantime, our Twitter handles, if you want to reach out to us, mine is Gian Segato, Giansegato. Marco, you can say yours.
Yes, my name, Marco Gomiero, without the final O.
You should pay someone.
Someone stole my my handle before. Maybe it's free now. I don't check it, but it's too late to change my Twitter handle.
Project management tool you recommend for startup company depends basically on your size. So I strongly recommend not going for the shinest one. I can name it. Of course, there are like tools, powerful tools like Jira and Asana, but they are mostly great if you have a team of at least, I would say, at least 10 people. Below 10, I would go for either Trello or Notion. We use Notion because it's centralized. You have everything in there. Also, Monday is good. I've heard. But yeah, a big thing to be aware of is falling in the hugeness fallacy, like going to the best and shinest tool, which is usually not something that works pretty well. Like even a to-do list shared over message is okay at the beginning. 10 o'clock, I think time's up. Again, thank you for joining, and let us know your thoughts over Twitter or our personal newsletters. And it was a pleasure. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much for joining, and see ya.